Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another edition to the Point Podcast. Hope you guys are all having a great start to your weekend. Today, we're going to be talking about a few things. Some action in the NHL last night, including the game between Toronto and Ottawa, the rematch of St. Louis, Colorado from Wednesday night in the opener. And we're also going to be talking about the NFL Divisional playoff round. Four matchups, including two starting this afternoon at 5:40 between Los Angeles Rams and Green Bay Packers, and then followed by Baltimore heading to Buffalo to play the Bills tonight at 9:15 on NBC. But just a little PSA. Hope you guys checked out the podcast I did yesterday with Sawyer about The Office. It was a lot of fun. We laughed a lot. It was great to be able to interact with him. We do a lot of these conversations about shows. I love sports. I love film and shows, and I like dissecting them. It's fun, and for me to bounce ideas off him, it was a real pleasure just to do it on camera and recording, because we've done it so many times in the past. But so check that out, and thank you again to Sawyer for joining me. But when it comes to the world of sports, obviously a lot's happening right now. We got the NFL in the playoffs, the NHL is back playing, the NBA is playing. A lot of postponed games due to COVID and teams not having the minimum number of players being 8 to dress. So, last night there was 3 postponed games. There's 3 Thursday, Wednesday there was 2 games. So the NBA is having a tough time right now with COVID. The NHL is having an easier time so far. Dallas had 17 positive tests, and they're supposed to start next week. But, the NHL, we can only hope for the best. I don't think we're going to go the whole season without seeing some COVID pop into this. I think that you're not thinking right if you have that take. I just think we've seen the virus is going to affect people, and we just can hope that a lot of the games aren't wiped out, and that we can get a season, get to the playoffs, and hopefully crown a champion like they did in the bubble in September. But today's theme for this morning, when it comes to the hockey, I talked about overreacting yesterday, and I was talking about Twitter, and then I got a comment on YouTube about just on social media as a whole, and the comment was so right. I mean, about people just giving their opinion on teams, dissecting a trade, maybe the Josh Anderson trade. Maybe you didn't like that he got 7 years. Maybe you were a fan of Max Domi and you like to go in that way. And one game does not define a career, does not define a season. And, for opening night, the Toronto Maple Leafs came back and beat the Montreal Canadiens. They got the win in overtime. Obviously, Morgan Riley got the winner. I read a lot. I read a lot of different pieces. And so just dissecting through the media, it was a lot of, and fans too, just Toronto, they win one game, they're going to win the cup. I mean, it's, Pittsburgh lost their first game and they lost again last night. I don't think that means Pittsburgh's done. They played Philly twice. That's a really good team. And, they've lost twice. Toronto beats Montreal, a good team. But the overreaction to them winning one game is just, it's crazy to me. Toronto's a good team. And I think I have people that think I hate the Maple Leafs, and that's just untrue. I'm here to point out my truth, what I deem the facts. And for me, it's not factual to get to crown somebody after one game. And that's what the Leafs media does. That's what they do to players. They carved out William Nylander saying, trade him, when he's making $6.9 million, when that contract looks pretty good. Okay, maybe if you compare it to David Pastrnak, it doesn't, because Nylander makes more money than Pastrnak, and Pasternak's a top 10 player in the NHL. But it's this overreaction that's just so ironic for this game. They're going to win the cup the first game, and then you get to last night's game, Toronto at Ottawa. They play again tonight, so it's a back-to-back, both in Ottawa. I see that a lot this year, like I mentioned early on in the podcast. Start the game. I thought the first period and 8 minutes, I thought the first 28 minutes of the game, Toronto played really well. They were all over Ottawa. This was their first game since March. That's something to remember. So teams like Ottawa, Detroit, San Jose, Anaheim. They haven't played since March. Some teams at least got to play 5 games in the bubble. Toronto, Arizona is a team that lost. Winnipeg. These teams got to play at least 5 games, almost a full calendar year for these Ottawa Senators players between playing a live game. So they came out sluggish. They look like they hadn't played in a while. The Leafs were establishing a forecheck. They're drawing penalties. And Ottawa killed one, but they took another bad penalty. Cedric Paquette, a new addition from the Tampa Bay Lightning in the trade for the Marian Gaborik contract. He took a penalty. The second power play unit gets on first for Toronto. They did this the whole game. That was kind of an interesting little wrinkle in where every shift, every power play, they started with the second power play unit. I'm going to touch on that at the end of this, but it turns out that they get the Tavares toe drags the puck in the middle, gets a good shot on Matt Murray's blocker. Murray can't really contain the puck. Hyman bats the puck out of midair into the back of the net. 1-0 Toronto. Their power play, at that power play goal, they're 3 for 6 on the season, so 50% success rate. Two of the goals have actually come from the second power play unit, with William Nylander scoring one in the opener. So the second power play unit is look good. But then at the end of the period, the Leafs got sloppy, kind of like Montreal did at the end of the second period against them. Thornton takes a high sticking penalty. Then the Leafs take a bad too many men on the ice, makes it 5-on-3. And Drake Batherson's got the puck down low. He's kind of spying. He sees Thomas Chabot come at the top corner. He gets the puck, makes no mistake, 1-1. I'm going to mention at the end just players I really liked in the game, but Drake Batherson's one of them. He's a player. He started the year last year on the Senators roster. Then he was demoted to Belleville, but he looks better as a player. He looks more filled out. I thought he's still got that. He's a great passer. I know he's got a good shot, but I like his vision on the ice. That play he made to Chabot, he looked to about 3 different people. It was like a quarterback spying the field. He looked left, looked right, and then he finally found Chabot when it was the right time to pass in the puck. So impressive play from Batherson. Another guy for just on the Toronto side that I think has looked fantastic to start the year is John Tavares. Last year he just didn't have it. His legs weren't there. I'm not going to say I'm not going to say he had an injury, because I think that's people use that as a crutch a lot. It didn't come out he had an injury. I just think he played poorly. He didn't look like he was the same guy from the year before scoring 40 goals. He was lacking something in his game, but through 2 games, he has his legs. He's one of the more active players. I see him going into corners. He's coming out with pucks, and you really can't say that for some of the other top players on Toronto, especially last night. The first 8 minutes of the second period, it's all Toronto. They have constant offensive zone time. A lot of the pucks to the outside. That's the one thing I can really criticize them on, is they're circling the puck to the outside. They need to get to the danger areas. Get the puck in the middle. Hyman scored a dirty goal around the net, and I haven't seen enough of that yet. They're trying to play the skill game. Craig Button mentioned this last night. They're playing the skill game, not the will game. That's been Toronto's problem for 10 years, longer, where you have all this skill, but none of them want to work and get to the areas. Matt Murray was playing well last night. You're not scoring from 100 feet often, so they need to get there. But they did benefit from it. The third line for Toronto, I think it was their best line last night. Kerfoot, Hyman, and Ilya Mikheyev. Kerfoot got a shot from the point. You got Zach Hyman screening in front. Puck goes through him, goes past Hyman. Murray can't see the puck. 2-1 Toronto. Good goal for Kerfoot. He's had a strong start this season as well. And this is when the game changed. It was in quick order, where Toronto had that little lead and Ottawa just started working harder. That's just what it was. They started working harder than Toronto. We saw Nick Paul, he's 25. He's been in Ottawa in a long time, playing in Belleville for 3-4 years now. he's getting a chance to play, and he made a good statement last night. He's on the boards with Morgan Riley, wins a puck battle. That was a constant theme last night. Finds Braden Coburn, of all people, coming down the middle of the ice, who's usually just a defenseman. But he drops the puck back, and then skating down the middle, Austin Watson puts it in 2-2. Big goal there. And then you see Brady Tkachuk tip one in, 3-2 Ottawa. Another play where TJ Brodie and Morgan Riley are on the ice. Brodie loses his stick, loses his glove. He's all disoriented, not playing defense. And then Tkachuk just simply outworks him, gets his stick in the lane, tips it home. And this was ugly for Toronto. This was 2 goals in a minute and 13. And then immediately following that, we see on a delayed penalty, Nikita Zaitsev, who actually had a strong game last night for Ottawa, and I don't say that often. He gets the puck to the net, good shot. The rebound pops out. Chris Tierney gets a swat at it, gets over the shoulder of Frederik Andersen, 4-2. 3 goals in a 4-minute span in the second period. More. And this is the thing. Plus minus is a stat that I think is overrated. You can look at a game sheet and say, okay, this guy was -3, but was he the cause of it? Same with plus minus. Same with the plus. A defenseman can be plus this, but if he doesn't do anything to make it a plus, then it's nothing. It's something your parents can say, well, oh, my kid was +3 tonight. Woo! Like, okay. So they sat there while the other people did stuff, and they didn't make a play. But last night, I watched the game. I watched the whole game, and Riley and TJ Brodie were terrible last night. Just terrible. And again, it's only their second game of the season, but looking at one game, they were really, really bad. Morgan Riley was getting beat on boards the whole night. Nick Paul, it didn't matter. Nick Paul, Batherson, Tkachuk was a lunatic last night, just going after people, getting into tough areas. He's like his brother. They're both going to go in there. They're going to cause havoc. And when you have a team, the Leafs team that got tougher but still playing weak out there, it's not going to be fun. And he didn't make it fun all night. We saw Austin Watson get involved. Obviously, he scored a goal. But Brodie and Riley just weren't good. I thought they were a good pair in the first game last night. It didn't work, but it's going to be some growing pains. They haven't played together before. It's only their second game together as a defensive pairing. And it's no secret, Muzzin and Hall played together all last year, and they looked great last night, but they have that chemistry. So I'm not burying Morgan Riley and TJ Brodie. Last night, I'll bury them because they were terrible. And it didn't look good last night. And, it got worse in the third period for Brodie and Riley. Brodie turned the puck over to Batherson. He's got the puck in the corner. He takes the puck straight to the net, gets it to the dirty area. Derek Stepan taps in the rebound. His first goal as a Senator. And it was just that kind of night for Brodie and Riley. I'm sure they're looking forward to playing tonight just to get that one off their back. John Tavares scored again in the power play, so 4 for 7 on the season, Toronto power play, 3 of them coming from that secondary power play unit. But Ottawa ended up winning the game, and it was impressive from Ottawa. Tim Stützle, who you remember from the World Junior Hockey Championship, made his debut, played 12 minutes, wasn't a big factor in the game, but it was his debut. Lafreniere didn't do a lot in his debut, so grain of salt there. Obviously, Kirill Kaprizov looked good in his debut for Minnesota, but he's also 23, and these kids are 19, so that's another thing to keep in mind. But Ottawa, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, either finishing last in the division, but they're going to be a tough out. They're going to play spoiler here to these teams. I liked DJ Smith's clearly got this team playing with, we're going to have we know our role and we're going to do it. I look at Chris Tierney. He really impressed me last night. He's been in Ottawa for a couple of years now. He was in the Erik Karlsson trade, but he's a guy that you can put out against another team's top line. He played against Matthews pretty much all night last night. Played a lot too because he was on the penalty kill. Um, he's a worker. He scored a goal. Yeah, I like him as a player. And Austin Matthews last night was fair. I think he's buzzing, but he needs to get to those dirty areas. He's taking a lot of shots from outside, and I think people get excited because they see him. He's got the puck. Oh, Matthews got the puck. Well, that top line really wasn't that effective for Toronto last night. I thought Joe Thornton looked better than he did in the opener, but he played 18 minutes. That's a lot. For me, that's too much for a 41-year-old guy. And, I read a piece this week, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm going to bring to my attention because the readers I like and that I trust, I'll bring stuff. So Steve Simmons, a lot of people don't like Steve Simmons, and especially Leafs fans, because he writes in Toronto and he'll write pieces that aren't favorable. And he's a guy that I look up to because he's had a column forever, and he's a writer in Toronto. He writes about the Blue Jays. He writes about the Raptors, whoever, but it's not all puff pieces. And I respect that because that's kind of how I go about life. You don't just write about the good. You have to write about the bad too. And he wrote that Austin Matthews doesn't want Zach Hyman on his line. And to me, that checks out. I remember early in his career, he didn't want Hyman on his line. Babcock would force it and put Hyman on there with him. But I don't know why Austin Matthews wouldn't want Hyman. Hyman goes in there and gets you the puck. Matthews and Marner, something we've learned until they've changed their game. This is not just me overreacting. This is just a fact. I've seen them play for a long period of time. They don't go in the corner to get the puck. And until they do it, until they start playing with some will and some character, you need those character guys to give you the puck because you're not going to. Hyman is one of the better forwards in NHL at just getting the puck. He's constantly around around the ice. He's getting the pucks. And Matthews and Marner, okay, you make $11 million. You don't want to take that risk or whatever it is, or lack of effort, whatever. Well, Hyman's going to do it, and you should probably appreciate him a little bit more than you do. I get it. Jumbo's your little buddy, Matthews, and you live with him, but he's better on a third line. Playing with Kerfoot and Mikheyev. It's not a slap in the face because Jumbo was playing on the third line in San Jose last year on a team that didn't make the playoffs. So I think they'll eventually pivot back to that, but just the disrespect towards Hyman. He was one of the better players last night in the game. He got a good opportunity, shorthanded. He scored a goal in the power play, like I said. But they play again tonight, so we'll see what Toronto, Ottawa can bring. But I was impressed by Ottawa's effort. I think Toronto still has a lot to grow on here, and but we'll see what that brings tonight. Good start for Matt Murray as well for Ottawa net. Some other key around the league points. I like to point out my unicorns when they play well. So last night, Tom Wilson, Washington Capitals beat Buffalo for the second night in a row, 2-1. I think he was the best player on the ice, either team. He had 2 points, but it was more than that. He's finishing checks. He stripped Rasmus Dahlin to the puck at the point, found Jakub Vrana, sprung him. Vrana puts a puck in the back of the net. He's another guy where you see Dahlin last night. He doesn't want to deal with Wilson. A lot of players don't, but you got Dahlin back there. He looks a little tentative, and Wilson made him pay a few times. He also scored the game-winning goal, just beautiful top shelf. The guy can do it all. And it just an impressive night for him. Ovechkin goalless through 2 games, but Washington has won their first 2 against Buffalo. Vitek Vanecek made his NHL debut. He got a win for Washington. Also in the East Division, we saw, like I said, Philly beat Pittsburgh for the second time in a row. Travis Konechny got a hat trick. He's another player he's real close to being a star if he's not already one already. He's small guy in stature, but he's not afraid to get to the tough areas. He's got a great shot. He can finish. He plays with some bite, which I like. But Philly looks good. Obviously, they got Carter Hart. They got a strong team. But that was another a big performance from Konechny. We also saw Colorado. They lose their opener. They didn't look great. They kind of came out flat. They responded last night in a big way with an 8-0 victory over St. Louis. They got goals from everybody. McKinnon had 3 points. Rantanen had 4. Jonas Donskoy scored. But they filled the net, and it was a good rebound for them. A tough opener. Kind of reminded me of Edmonton against Vancouver, where in the second game they really came out to play. But these games where we see teams play each other 2-3 times in a row, I think it'll be interesting to see the different style of games, how they look, and how the teams adapt from one night to the other. So a smaller night of action in the NHL. We got some afternoon games today with Boston and New Jersey at 2, and San Jose and Arizona at 5, and then a full slate tonight. But yeah, strong start to the season. And it's been fun. The hockey's been pretty good. Like I said, the defensive systems really need to improve for some of these teams, but that'll come with time. And for people that like seeing high scoring games, I think you'll be seeing it until at least February, probably a little bit later than that. So enjoy it before the game tightens up. So that was the NHL. But it's NFL divisional playoff weekend. We saw the Super Wildcard weekend last week where some great games. The Baltimore-Tennessee one really stood out to me. We saw some good action between the Bills and Colts. A lot of tight games. I think we'll see a few more this weekend. Just going through the games, obviously we'll start with today's. Los Angeles Rams visiting the Green Bay Packers. It was announced this week Jared Goff will start. Obviously, he had surgery on his thumb a couple weeks ago. He came in relief of John Wolford in the game against Seattle. Wolford has actually been ruled out with a stinger or something in his neck, so he's got a problem there. So Goff will be starting. But really, I think the key for the Rams to keep this game close, because they're a warm weather team heading to Green Bay where it's going to be cold, it's going to be uncomfortable for them. It's their run game. Cam Akers had 176 combined yards last week, just running and receiving, and he needs to do that again. They need to run the ball today, establish that, and get play action, because that's where Jared Goff really thrives. He can get the play action, the bootlegs. He can get Robert Woods open in space, get wide open receivers, because we saw Robert Woods score a touchdown last week where Goff basically had to lob him the ball into the end zone. And that's what he does best. Asking Jared Goff to win this game in the cold in Lambeau is a disaster. You're not going to win the game. So they need to establish the run, and as well as they need their defense to step up. Again, they played very well against Seattle last week. Aaron Donald is going to play. He's got some ribs, so I don't know if he's got broken ribs or what's going on with him. He had to leave the game. But him and Brockers, Leonard Floyd, they need to make Aaron Rodgers' life difficult and make him throw off target, make him throw off his back foot, and just make it uncomfortable for him. Because if you give him the time that he's had at some points this year, he's going to light it up. And he's never had home field throughout the playoffs in his career, so it's a new opportunity for him. He's going to be the MVP. He had 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions this year. Just a phenomenal season at age 37, and he looks great, obviously. But the key matchup for me today is Devante Adams going up against Jalen Ramsey. Devante Adams, arguably one of the best receivers in the NFL. I think Jalen Ramsey is either the first or second best corner in the NFL. He locked up DK Metcalf last week, and Metcalf really didn't have a huge impact on the game when he was matched up against Ramsey. But, Devontae Smith, he really can run any route. He can get open better than anybody, but it'll be a test for Ramsey. He got traded from Jacksonville. He wanted out and wanted to come to a contender. He's here in LA, and he's got the opportunity to show what he's got. He's going to probably play against Devontae every matchup. I don't know if they'll move him when he goes to the slot and when he runs these different routes, if Ramsey will travel. But it'll be a fun matchup to watch to see what Jalen Ramsey can do against him. I think he'll favor well because he can be physical. He will lock up on you as a defender. He's very good at that. So we'll see what he can bring. But if Devante Adams is open all day, it's going to be tough for the Rams to win this game. And Rodgers, you want Rodgers to be forced to throw to Valdez-Scantling, to Alan Lazard, to Robert Tonyan, to dumping it off to Aaron Jones from the backfield. You don't want it to be a Devante Adams show all day because that's just a nightmare for their defense. And for the Rams, try to control the clock too. Rodgers, he's a guy that can score quick, but if you can control the clock, limit his possessions, then you stand a chance. But Green Bay can really make this Mewtwo. I think if Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith, the two defensive ends off the edge, if they can get to Jared Goff, if they can make it tough on him, this could really be a blowout for Green Bay, because if they get down early, then they force to throw the ball. Then you got pass rush coming every play. Kenny Clark, the two Smith brothers, it'll be tough for Jared Goff, especially coming off an injury, and he's not the best quarterback when he's healthy. So with all that being said, I like Green Bay to win today. I think they're too good. I think they're going to be at home. They got the weapons to do it. Rodgers coming off a bye week. We'll see how he plays. I think honestly that helped him more than I think it'll help Kansas City. But he's confident. I don't think he's worried about this matchup all that much. But he'll come out. I think he'll play well. And I see Green Bay winning by 10 or more. I don't think it'll be that close. I think the Packers move on to the NFC Championship game for the second time in 3 years, or third time in 4 years. Sorry, be back-to-back years when they lost to San Francisco last year. So, but yeah, I like Green Bay. I like Green Bay to get to the championship game, and they'll await the winner of Tampa Bay, New Orleans. Tonight's game. It's an interesting one. You got Baltimore at Buffalo. It's probably the game I'm looking forward to the most this weekend. It's in Buffalo, and there's supposed to be some snow. Lamar Jackson revealed this week that he's never played in the snow. He doesn't really want to. He's not a huge fan of the cold. However, if it does snow, it benefits Lamar. Just listening to different former ex-players, when you're playing in the snow as an offensive player, it's easier because you know where you're going when you're running in the snow. As defenders, if you think about it, you're stationary. You don't know where the guy's going, and it's slippery to begin with, so it's tough to make tackles. And that really benefits the run game. And no team is better at running the football in the NFL than the Baltimore Ravens. They got over 300 rush yards a game. You got Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, and then Lamar running for over 100 in his last 6 games. At least 100 in his last 6 games. It's going to be difficult to contain that running game. Even Devin Duvernay, who's really their special teams player, they use him in the offense a lot through different motions and different plays. So look out for Baltimore. They're going to be running the ball a ton. And for Buffalo, they really don't have a running attack. Zadarius Moss, he got an ankle injury last week. He's done for the season. They still have Devin Singletary, but he hasn't been a great back so far in his career. He's just kind of been there for Buffalo. The running attack is not great. They rely on Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs in the passing game. So with all that being said, it sounds like, I got Baltimore winning the game. They got good corner. They got a good defense too. They play well against Tennessee. Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters back there, Jimmy Smith. But I've been high on Buffalo all year, and I was down on Baltimore, especially when Harbaugh was throwing his hissy fit, and I'm not going to back off that take. I think he was acting like a little spoiled brat when he played Tennessee for the first time, but I like Josh Allen more than I like Lamar Jackson, and I trust Josh Allen to go out there and play big today and get the win. It all says to me that Baltimore's going to win this game, and I think they still might. But because I've been so bullish on the Bills, I'm going to stick with them. And I honestly think Baltimore's going to win tonight. But on the podcast, I want to stay consistent. I've been high on the Bills, so I'm not going to waver on that. If they can stop Baltimore early, get a few stops, and it's the same thing how Baltimore's lost in the playoffs before. You need to get a lead on Baltimore. If you can get a 2-score lead with 14-0 with the Bills defense, that's going to be tough because Lamar's going to have to throw in the snow, not used to it. And then you got to rely on Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews to really make some big plays for you. But another thing it could come down to, because I think this game's going to be close, is the kicking game. Justin Tucker is the most accurate kicker in the history of the NFL for Baltimore. And you got Tyler Bass for Buffalo, who I don't trust as a kicker. But I don't think if it's Humphrey or if it's Jimmy Smith or if it's Marcus Peters, I don't think anybody can cover Stephon Diggs right now. He's playing at that high of a level. I think this season he's been the best receiver in the NFL. I don't even think it's conjecture anymore. I mean, the way he played against Indy last week, clearly not 100%, but he gutted it out and he played fantastic. Cole Beasley in the slot, he could be a dangerous weapon today. Even Dawson Knox has really stepped up his game in recent weeks. And like I said, Josh Allen can use his legs too. He's a big guy. He's going to be a tough runner to bring down in the snow. And like I said, I think Baltimore should win tonight, but I'm going to stick with the Bills to make it to the AFC Championship game. I have them going there for a number of weeks now. But I think this is the game of the weekend. It's the one to watch for sure. If you want to get into football and you want to see down and dirty, just run the football, chug it up in the snow, this is the one to watch. This is where the difference between men and boys in this game, because it's going to be cold. It's not going to be fun. You're going to have to tackle people when you're freezing and you really don't want to be out there. But the teams that adapt the best will win tonight. And Buffalo is used to the snow. And I like Josh Allen. I think he's really emerged as one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL. And these two, another interesting thing, these guys both come out of the same draft. Josh Allen going 10th, Lamar going the last pick of the first round, 32nd overall to the Baltimore Ravens. It'll be interesting to see. Obviously, it's a huge game. The winner goes to the AFC Championship game, and but yeah, must watch tonight. But I have the Bills winning 27-24, just a nail biter over the Baltimore Ravens. So that leads us into tomorrow. And tomorrow's games are as follows. We got Cleveland visiting the Kansas City Chiefs, and we have, for the third time this year, Tampa Bay and New Orleans. So I'll start with the 4:00 game on CBS. Cleveland at Kansas City. Obviously, Cleveland's coming off their biggest win in 25, 30 years, beating the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh, road playoff game, without their head coach, without their all-pro lineman, Joel Bitonio, without their 2 starting corners, and Denzel Ward and Jeremiah Johnson. And they go in there and they shock the world. Well, I picked them, but they shocked the world. And now they're playing the juggernaut. They're playing the defending Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, who went 14-2. They were dominant this year, but they were dominant with that asterisk. They never put teams away, and that's dangerous because you want to kill your opponent. I've mentioned this a lot in the podcast. They don't do that. They let their opponent breathe a while. They don't put them out of their misery. They let them hang around, and that's not going to work in this game because I think Cleveland's a team that's never going to give up. They got Stefanski back on the sideline, but Bitonio is back. Like I said, the corners are going to be back for this game. They're basically fully healthy when it comes to COVID issues now. For Cleveland, the key is they're going to have to win a shootout. I don't think their defense is good enough to stop Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, the whole cast of characters there. So they're going to need to outscore them. They're going to need to get some big plays in the run game from Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Baker Mayfield's going to continue to play just good football. Don't turn the ball over. 9 touchdowns, 1 pick in his last 5 games. He just play consistent, play to your skill level. Do not try to be Patrick Mahomes when you're playing Patrick Mahomes. I think a lot of players fall into that trap where they try to do more than what they need to do, and just to maybe boost their own numbers or boost themselves as people. And it's just easy. Just play to yourself, Baker. Uh, when you get the run game going, use the play action, use the bootlegs, find Jarvis Landry, go to your open receivers, use Austin Hooper, who's been a big target for him at tight end. And I think they can keep it close. The defense will have to, I think, make a few stops for them to win this game. Kind of like that the Oakland win over, the Vegas win over Kansas City. They need to make a few key stops, but other than that, just play to your skill level, play your game, and I think good things will happen. But on Kansas City side, obviously they're coming off a bye. They didn't play their regulars in the last week of the season, which I disagreed with. They've been off for a while. They haven't played in a very long time. And I don't like that. I would have played them a half against the Chargers in week 17, then they would have had last week off, then they're playing this week. I don't like the full 2 weeks off. And I think Kansas City's going to win the game. I'm picking Kansas City, but the point spread I think is at 10.5. I'm not a bettor, but if I was, I would take Cleveland to cover. I don't think it'll be a 10.5 beat down here. Cleveland's a better team than people give them credit for. Obviously, they're here for a reason. You could say it's because Pittsburgh, Big Ben was struggling and they got a better matchup. Well, they're here. That's all that really matters. And I like them to keep it close. I said Mahomes, I think Cleveland's got a chance because if Mahomes comes out a little bit slow and maybe he's a little rusty from having that time off, they need to capitalize early and often then. They need to score some points early in the game and put some pressure on Mahomes. Get Myles Garrett. It's your first overall pick. It's your time to shine, buddy. Put some pressure on his behind. Use your run game. I think they got the best offensive line in football. Jack Conklin, Batonio, Wyatt Teller, J.C. Treader at center. They create so many holes for the run game that it could be a huge factor today and win that time of possession. But all in all, I think they'll need to win a shootout if they're going to win this game. And I worry that Baker will start airing it out a little too often late in the game, and then that'll ultimately kill their chances of winning. So I have Kansas City winning by touchdown. But like I said, I take Cleveland to cover the 10.5. But to me, the point spread doesn't matter. It's about who wins the game. I got Kansas City winning the game, heading back to their third straight AFC Championship game, where they'll play the Buffalo Bills next Sunday. So, but it'll be a good game today. It won't tomorrow. It won't be a blowout. I don't think it'll be a blowout. Then the last game of the weekend, 7:40 kickoff on Fox. We got the battle of the two old man quarterbacks. We got Tampa Bay and Tom Brady visiting the New Orleans Saints and Drew Brees. Drew Brees turned 42 yesterday. Tom Brady's 43. Tom Brady will be back next year. He signed a 2-year deal. He's not ready to hang them up. He said multiple times he wants to play until he's 45. He had a great season for a guy his age. They're still going to have Mike Evans. They're still going to have Chris Godwin, maybe not Gronk, but Antonio Brown will likely return. They'll have the same cast of characters with another year of experience and another year to take a crack at the Super Bowl. Drew Brees, I think if they lose today, it's his last game. He's 42. He's had some injury problems the last couple of years. He's got a deal with NBC to be a studio analyst when he's done his career. And I think he's played enough football where he can say, I'm going to leave my way. And hopefully that for him, I'm sure he hopes he leaves with a Super Bowl. But today's game will be interesting. We saw them play week 1. It was Tom Brady's first game as a Buccaneer. He threw 2 picks, including a pick 6. Wasn't great. Drew Brees played effective football in that game. Saints win. Then they played in week 9. This is after week 1. Week 9, it was a 38-3 beatdown by the Saints in Tampa Bay. Tom Brady threw 3 picks. It might have been his worst game in the NFL in the history of the game for him. He was just terrible. Drew Brees threw 3 touchdown passes, efficient. So we're coming into the game where New Orleans has won the first 2 matchups pretty easily, both of them, where Brady hasn't played great and the Buccaneers hadn't played great. Week 9, that was when the Bucs had signed Antonio Brown. This was Antonio Brown's first game with the team, and obviously it was a nightmare. But since then, it's turned around. Antonio Brown's caught 5 touchdown passes in his last 4 games. He's really been a spark plug for this offense. Tom Brady obviously loves getting him the ball. He's starting to look like the old AB with his quickness and just the way he's playing. Mike Evans, he's catching everything. He's a red zone threat. They still have Gronk. And then on the other side, Drew Brees, he's been banged up all year with the cracked ribs and the collapsed lung and everything that's happened with him. Michael Thomas is back now. Obviously, Alvin Kamara has had a great season. But it's extremely rare in the NFL that a team can beat a team 3 times. It's only happened twice. And the rest, it's the team that plays each other the 3rd time they win. The team that's lost the first 2 wins the 3rd one. And that's what I think is going to happen in this game. I have the Buccaneers beating the Saints in New Orleans. I like Brady and Evans, and I like that cast better than New Orleans. I don't trust Drew Brees as much. He's throwing balls short. He's getting some bad interceptions. And another thing I really don't like is when they put Taysom Hill in at quarterback and he throws the ball. I mean, he fumbled last week. I like him when they put him in as a receiver, as a running back. I'm fine with that. If I was Drew, I'd say, okay, if this is my last game, I'm going out kicking and screaming. Taysom Hill is not taking the ball under center. Like Sean Payton, fuck off. No. I'll throw the ball, and if we lose, okay, we lose. It's on me. But Taysom Hill is not getting the ball and throwing it. Never. If he runs the ball, okay, and he fumbles, I can live with that. But he's not getting the ball under center and throwing it to Michael Thomas. Not a chance. Not a chance. I would have put my foot down this week and say, that's not happening. This is my career. You get to coach next year. I'm done. I'm going to NBC, and I'll talk about your Taysom Hill throwing the ball for you. But this is my career. I'm going out my way, and that's throwing the football and being Drew Brees. But I just like what Tampa's got a little bit more. I think the key thing is the New Orleans defense, obviously. Cam Jordan, Hendrickson, they need to get to Brady. They need to get to him. Malcolm Jenkins, CJ Gardner-Johnson will be key in the back end when it comes to passes defended, things like that. Marshawn Lattimore against Mike Evans. That's another matchup to watch, like I mentioned, with Ramsey and Devante Adams. That'll be a key matchup today to see what Marshawn Lattimore can do against Mike Evans. Both really just phenomenal players. And it's the 3rd matchup, so they both have a lot of tape on each other, and we'll see how the 2 teams adapt. But I've liked the Bucs for a while now. I think I've had them in my power rankings. I've had them 2nd behind Green Bay since about week 14. So what I'm doing with my picks is I'm sticking with my original thoughts. I liked Kansas City and Baltimore in the AFC, and I've liked Green Bay and Tampa Bay in the NFC for some time now. And that's who I have as the final 4 teams playing next weekend for a chance to play in the Super Bowl on February 7th. But it should be good football. Obviously, it could be a big day for Drew Brees, potentially his last game. We saw Phillip Rivers, Big Ben Roethlisberger maybe play their last games as pros last week. So a lot in the line here as the season starts winding down. But yeah, enjoy the divisional round. It's going to be a fun weekend, fun day for me. Obviously, got some hockey this afternoon. The UFC starting up again with a card on Fight Island. So we're watching that. We got some football, basketball tonight. So it'll be a fun day, busy day, and obviously great as always to come on here and talk about what's going on in the world of sports. But I'll likely be back tomorrow. I'll talk about everything that happened today, if not Monday for sure, to break down the whole entire NFL weekend. So enjoy the football, enjoy the hockey, whatever you're doing this weekend. Just stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll talk soon.